It's been exciting to watch our team grow since January. And to get to this point, it's going to be exciting to play someone different. We reported August 3rd for camp, and the last 25 days it's been about us getting better. Now we flipped the switch to Gardner Webb. Excited to bring an in-state team into the Rock on Saturday. Looks like it's going to be a great crowd here in Boone. So just excited to get the season started.
All right, thank you, Coach. Again, if you have a question, please use the reactions to raise your hand. We'll call on you. Let's go to Luke.
Hey, Coach, where's the biggest area of growth you saw in your team from the start of camp to now?
I think every facet in our program, if you look at where we were and where we are now, it's night and day. That was part of our plan to close the gap to make sure we're in the right spot for this season. I really think our defensive unit has made major strides just the way we practice. We have several new guys on that side of the football, and to watch Coach Sloan and his staff come together and play the brand of football we're used to here. So if you look at the offensive line, we're starting 2 new tackles, and they've gotten a lot better since fall camp has started. And again, to me, it's just really about now we worked our tails off to get to this point. Now I'll be able to go play someone and put it on tape.
I know you want to get back to running the ball pretty consistently, like App State's been known for in the past. How big is that cohesion on the offensive line and being able to work those new guys in through fall?
I like where we are right now. I think Coach Cummings done a very good job of getting those guys ready. We have a lot more depth now on the offensive side on the offensive line, and we have 8 to 9 guys that we feel comfortable that can play. Our 5 starters, plus we'll probably play 7 guys on the offensive line game 1 just to get some more guys some quality reps. But we have to run the football, and I do believe you have to run the football to win championships, and something we've been good at in the past here. It's the first year in a while we haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher. A lot of reasons why. We had a lot of injuries at that position last year, but to be able to run the football, again, we want to be balanced, run 50-50 if we can, but to run the football is big in college football.
So, it's been a good fall camp. The guys have worked really hard. We're healthy, and that's all you can ask, right? We're excited to have the opportunity to play a really good football team, and we're looking forward to it.
Coach, what has the preparations been like for you? Obviously, you've been a coordinator for a long time, devising the offensive game plan. But to go into game week as a head coach, how has that been different, and what's that been like for you?
Yeah, it's very different. You have to. I didn't realize. I mean, you realize what goes on behind the scenes, but you don't really realize it until you have to do it, and especially taking your team across the country on the first game. And so that part has been very challenging to try to be able to do both and give your undivided attention to both preparation for UCLA, your players and monitoring them, but then also making sure that your trip is run smoothly without any roadblocks. So it woke my eyes up a little bit because I knew it took some work and some time, but I didn't realize how much.
Let's go to Luke. Luke, please go ahead.
Coach, just how big of a challenge is it to open against an Autonomy 5 school on the road?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge challenge, one that I think our players are looking forward to. One thing about our guys is that I can attest, we're going to worry about ourselves and do what we have to do, and we're going to show up and play hard. And so if we can protect the football and tackle well, we got a chance. And I think our players have that belief, but certainly great program, great coach and Coach Kelly, and a lot of really good players over there at UCLA. And so it's going to be a great experience for our guys too, to travel across the country and to be able to play in that iconic stadium.
All right, let's go to Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Coach Beck, you mentioned it briefly there, but what's it like for these guys? And maybe have you talked about, the opportunity to play in the Rose Bowl and have that opportunity to kick off the season, an actually televised game and everything like that? How does, that go into your preparations for week one?
I haven't talked much about it because everyone else is, to be honest. So I don't have to bring it up here. But I'll say this: we really haven't talked much about them. We really haven't. I don't want to. We got 12 games on the schedule. This is just one of 12. It happens to be the first one. Happens to be UCLA, and it happens to be in the Rose Bowl. But it is still just one of 12. And so our preparation for us is to make sure that we're doing the things that we can control, the things that we can do. And it's going to be a great environment, certainly, no doubt about it, and one I'm excited to be a part of. But at the end of the day, it's still a football game. There's still assignments, responsibilities, and things that we got to do. And that's what we've been focusing on for the most part. Haven't talked much about all that, the trip and all that stuff. I'll let our guys experience that.
Had a good camp. No significant injuries to anybody in the two deep. Pleased with our development. Game week, ready to go.
Hey, Coach. I was just kind of looking at week one opponent, Bucknell. It's a FCS opponent. Going into that game, what are sort of the things that you're kind of focusing on, especially when you're going against a team like Bucknell? It's from the FCS level, and don't want to say it's a guaranteed win, but kind of just a little bit more of like a quote unquote like tune-up game, I guess.
Well, first of all, we respect our opponent, but we're shifting gears. We're in game week now, and it's about our standards of preparation, our attention to detail, stacking good days on top of each other. For the players, reps are limited, and they've got to prepare daily to put themselves in the best position for success. I'm looking for us to play a clean game, fly around, fast, physical, very few missed assignments, penalties, turnovers, things like that. Because at the end of the day, we're going to get a grade, at least in my mind, on how we played. And, this is a standard of performance. This is the first one, and we want it to be a good one.
Thank you.
Go to Noah.
Hey, Coach, good morning. Were you able to kind of get the team going in the game week, like a game kind of week situation toward the end of last week, or is that kind of waiting to this week? And what did it look like, I guess, if you started that, on Thursday or Friday last week?
No, we're in game week now. We got all our situations covered in camp. And now every day has a different focus. Monday brings a certain thing, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then you play the game. So we're shifting gears into game week. Today's a little bit more tape, a little less time on the field, walkthrough, that kind of thing. So, but the situation part of it, now we'll practice third down and red areas, short yards, all that throughout the week, every week for the upcoming opponent.
And then you've been doing this for a while. How exciting is it now to get back into the game week and the kind of the flow of a season?
It's great to get back in the game week. Guys are tired of practicing against each other, hitting each other, and excited to see, what this team has.
Thank you. We'll go over to David Teal. David?
Curt, you mentioned last week that Barnett had made progress in the passing game that you were pleased with. Will he start Saturday?
Well, somebody will start. We won't name a starter beforehand, maybe an hour beforehand. And really, the reason for that is just to eliminate the noise and the clutter so that whoever that individual is can focus in on his preparation. I think everybody on the team knows who the starter is going to be. But, we've got a fluid situation in some areas at quarterback. Who's the backup going to be? Because I think we have 4 capable guys at that position. I'm pleased with all of them.
Is there a chance that more than one would play on Saturday?
There's always a chance, I guess. It depends on how the game goes. I hope that we play well and we're in position to play a lot of guys, but there's no guarantee of that.
Yeah, just really excited. It's finally game week. A lot of recruiting, a lot of practices. I think the guys are, ready to go. So just really today's their day off, focus on academics. Tomorrow we'll get after it.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, obviously deep Texas roots in your history. What do you like about, starting off with playing a couple of in-state opponents with Baylor and UTSA, and why do you feel that it's good for your program if you do?
Yeah, it's awesome. Especially for recruiting and getting to play a team like Baylor, a Big 12 team is awesome for our guys and for the fans and everyone involved. My dad went to Baylor, my brother's on the team at Baylor, my sister graduated from Baylor. So a lot of Baylor ties and Coach Rahne does a great job over there. They got a bunch of really talented players, great coaches. So it's a huge challenge for us, and our guys have been working really hard to go out there and put on a good performance.
You alluded to it, but I was going to ask, any special significance for you going into Baylor Saturday, obviously with your family's history with that institution?
Yeah, obviously that, and then just being our first game at Texas State. I think that's exciting in itself, and something I'm very proud of, and worked very hard to get to this moment, and just like the rest of these coaches, and rest of these players. So, we'll be fired up, ready to go come Saturday.
Let's go over to Luke. Luke, please go ahead.
Coach, you mentioned the players have the day off today. As a coach, what do you do to get yourself, in the zone for game week, and what do you do while the players are off?
Yeah, I got a haircut this morning. I don't know if you can tell that. I got a haircut this morning about 8 a.m. Baylor's a little bit different because, we've been game planning them for a little bit now. So just fine tuning some things, just going back over it, getting the practice schedule exactly the way we want it, getting guys in for treatment and all that kind of stuff. But for me, just, getting my mind right, continue watching the film and presenting the different looks that they do and making sure we have a, the most possible answers. You're never going to know exactly what a team's going to do, especially week one, but just trying to go over all the scenarios.
We'll head over to Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, just want to talk about maybe the familiarity with Baylor, with this being the third straight year Texas State has played them. Obviously, different coaching staff now, but some of the guys have been around and have played Baylor in the past. Does that give you any sort of advantage? Obviously, week one's a little different than the rest of the season with preparations.
Yeah, probably not. Just because it's new scheme and a bunch of new players. We don't have a whole bunch of returning guys, so probably not.
Yeah, obviously exciting time of year for all football programs out there. You work 353 days of the year to have 12 unique regular game experiences, and here's the first one with a new football team and opportunity to continue to grow as a football program. Bring in Citadel, who we got a lot of respect for, with Coach Drayton coming back from the NFL and his experiences. A very well respected coach in our profession. And a very well-respected team. Their tradition and their history of having 4 SEC wins in their time period, as well as an ACC victory. They're a team that plays with a lot of pride. They remind us a lot of ourselves, a blue-collar mentality that plays with a lot of pride and looks forward to competing. And so we look forward to this Saturday right here in Paulson Stadium.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. And again, a reminder of members of the media, if you have a question, just go into reactions and raise your hand. We'll start first with Luke Creasy. Luke, please go ahead.
10 minutes. What time am I supposed to be on? 11 what?
Hey, Coach, how did that new indoor practice facility help out preparations for this season?
Oh, it helps out so much in a couple of ways. One, logistically, being in the Southeast with as much weather that you have, it helps you stay in routine. I remember in 2021 when I first got here and them saying that, 23 practices had been altered or canceled due to weather. And last year we had 17 that were altered and none canceled, but we had to alter out of routine. And then we did our own homework, how it's saving the bodies of our players on a very similar practice, on very similar temperature in the day. We were at Paulson Stadium for a practice, and our team roster lost 586 pounds in that one practice. We had the exact same practice indoors and lost 381. 200 pounds difference on the exact style of practice, the exact temperature. And when you're talking about 2 pounds of water weight per man over a 2-3 day period of time, what we hope it does is produce a lot of freshness on Saturday. Still garnering some time outside, so we do feel like the heat in Statesboro, Georgia is one of our weapons to be able to use. So we are still working outside during the week, but to be able to go in there 2-3 times a week, man, it really saves the body for game day.
Thank you, Luke. We'll go over to Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach Helton, you touched a little bit on the matchup with the Citadel, but what does it mean, probably more so for the fans of the Georgia Southern program, to kind of renew this rivalry, renew a matchup that you've played quite a number of times in the history of your program?
Yeah, there's a lot of history between and a lot of prideful history with both programs. You're looking at one program in Georgia Southern that, has 6 national championships at the FCS level. Citadel having their own success at the FCS level. And like I mentioned earlier, I mean, they've always been a program of any time, any place, anywhere, they'll go compete. And you look up and you look at a program that has 4 SEC wins in their history, as well as an ACC win, you better bring your A game or you're going to get your butt beat. Got a lot of respect for this program and their coaching staff. It's a very quality coaching staff that I know is going to bring fresh energy to their program and should make for a heck of a competition.
And then just follow up, kind of what has changed for you guys, obviously going from fall camp to now kind of into a game week preparation. What changed for you guys, and kind of how have the guys started to adapt to kind of the new flow of things and the regular season flow?
Yeah, definitely. Any time that you have those 25 practices, you get to about practice 17 or 18, and you're ready to go play somebody else. So it's been ultra competitive, but it's exciting to be able to now dive into game plan and prepare for another football team. Just trying to go 1-0 on the week and truly focusing on that opponent. It brings a little fresh energy as you go through the monotony of camp, and you get to that practice 20. You're excited for game week to be able to show up, and I know our kids are excited to get going.
Yes, again, we are looking forward to bringing Army into our stadium for our opening game. Not that we're looking forward to seeing Army, but we have such a strong military presence in our area that they love a game against a team like this. They always have a good crowd nationally, and it's such a name-worthy opponent that we have coming in. And so, unfortunately, they are a tough team to play, and we open up with a very tough opponent for us. And so we've been working hard, knowing that they've got a little offensive difference. We've got to expect them to still be an option team that runs the football and controls the clock. And so we're going to work hard on that. And offensively, obviously, we want to try to control the clock and keep them off the field with our offense. But our kids have practiced very hard. We had a good spring. We've had a good preseason. We've gotten so close to turning this program around. It's been a dozen years since we've had a winning season here, and we are getting so close to getting to that point. And so the players are just looking forward to playing somebody else beside themselves. And it'll be nice to open up at home. We played Army last year. We hung around and actually were leading at halftime, but they just wore us down. This is an Army team that comes back. They were 6-6 and bowl eligible last year, and were lost by 1 point to our conference champion Troy. They were beating Coastal Carolina, I want to say, into the fourth quarter before they lost that one. And of course beat us as well. So it's a team that our conference is very familiar with. I'm very familiar with. I've coached against Army back in 1996 when I was at Auburn. We played them in the Independence Bowl. And so, but we're looking forward to having them come into town and the excitement it always brings when you bring in the Army football team.
Thank you, Coach. I'll turn it over to Hunter Dawkins. Hunter, please go ahead.
Coach Bowden, good morning.
Yes.
the question I have for you is
Mhm.
there is no real way you can coach the effort against a team like Army, because I know your boys, you want them to give effort during the game, but of course with the Army, those guys give just as much effort as anybody. What's the stage of execution for the plans and putting together a team chemistry to where you can be able to execute, and you should be able to win if just by executing what y'all's game scheme and plans are.
Well, yeah, I mean, you mentioned effort several times. I know our young men are going to give great effort. I think when I think of Army or a military academy playing football, they're so disciplined. I think effort is not something that's held only by cadets and people in the military, but effort is something every football team expects and has. And we've had great effort by our players. We don't demand accept anything less. Now, do we have the discipline and the attention to detail that you would understand that somebody at an academy might have? That's what I always think of when I look at number of penalties and the execution of an offense or a defense. That's what I think of as is execution and discipline and organizational skills that come with these academies that they bring in. But we're going to give great effort now, and we'll play as hard as we can. And we just got to hope that's enough. Football's about blocking and tackling. And players making plays, and so we've got to do a great job with that. But obviously, we've got to execute. When we have the ball, they can't be controlling that clock and keeping their offense on the field. So we've got to try to run that football and mix it up and keep the ball out, keep them off the field, as well as score some points as well.
Thank you. I'll go over to Dusty Thibodeau. Dusty, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Army's
Dusty.
definitely a unique animal that you have to face. How much of your preparation going into the season can you really prepare for the season versus specifying it just for Army?
Well, I mean, as anybody's been reading, I mean, the papers, are, at least as far as the national publications are concerned, or what they have let us know out of Army, they've gone to a shotgun offense, which is very different than what they have done in the flex bone that they've run under center. But it's still the option, and it's still probably triple option, and so we've got to prepare for that. It's been a little bit different because for the last 2 decades they've run exactly, I think, or at least the 10 years under Coach Bunkin, that they've run a similar style. So we've had to really we got to do a little guess and to imagine to see what they're going to run. But we can't worry about things we can't control. We've got to go out there and play good, solid football. And our coordinators and coaches have put together a good plan. But again, sometimes your best defense is a good offense, and so we've got to find a way to control the ball, to keep our offense on the field, stay out of 3 and outs, and finish with points on the board. And that's probably as key as anything. But again, that's the biggest thing is you've got a little bit of an unknown. Then when they bring in a new offense and they haven't used it yet in the game, there's a little bit of an unknown of what they're going to do, and also of how we're going to play against it.
Thank you. We'll go over to Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, a lot has been made, obviously, about Tyrone and his abilities, but can you maybe speak to the impact that he's had on the rest of your team, whether it's by example or the way he carries himself?
Well, Tyrone Howell's a very talented athlete at wide receiver, and we sure want to get him the ball as much as we can because he's physical and he can make plays after he touches the ball. And so again, he's you can't watch our video and prepare for us without noticing him on last year's video. So I'm not giving up any secrets, but we just got to make sure he gets enough touches. He's not a tailback. We can't guarantee him 20, but you can get him. You get him the key touches that you can get him. And he's returned punts for us some. And so we got to hope we can get enough touches to him. Or if they want to play 2 people out there on him, that maybe free somebody else up and help us in some other area. But anytime you've got a talented wide receiver, you just got to make sure you get him enough touches in the game, maybe in special teams and at the wide receiver position. so he can make those plays. But I think his biggest asset is his talent and his confidence. He has a lot of confidence in his ability and to compete one-on-one with other people in our conference.
Yeah, appreciate you guys covering Troy football and the Sun Belt Conference. Excited about kickoff football. A lot of work goes into this for our guys to open the season up here at home will be fun. Really quality opponent in Stephen F. Austin. Hard at work at trying to get ready for game one. A lot of unknowns, and that's part of what makes each new year exciting. So with that, we'll open it up.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Craig Stevenson. Craig, please go ahead.
Hey, John. Can you update? Is there any update to the status of TJ Jackson or Reggie Bracey right now?
Yeah, TJ is back practicing with the team. Still facing some internal things disciplinary wise. Not going to comment on his availability, but is back with the team. And Reggie is away until some things are external. I don't have any control over that. So until I get external information back, like an issue like that, don't really have anything that I can do. When guys pause and there's external things that they have to happen for reentry, I don't have anything to really do in regards to reentry. Now, when guys, if we get told they're allowed to reenter, then a lot of times it becomes a team decision. What does that look like? So, but TJ's back practicing, Reggie's not.
Another thing you mentioned, during the preseason, how Gunner had really taken ownership of the team as an upperclassman. Just what have you seen in his development through camp with that?
Yeah, a year and a half ago when I got here, Gunner was inconsistent leading himself. Not say he was doing a poor job every day, but he wasn't doing a great job daily. Has done a much better job day in, day out of leading himself. And then on top of it, I think has gained confidence in leading others. And really just so proud of his commitment to his own development too. I think when you come back for a sixth year, you don't kind of halfway it. It's probably if you're going to invest that much time when you're already graduated, you can go on and do a lot of things in your life. He's really committed himself to the weight room, to the nutrition plan. I kid around a lot in our building. Nobody's going to confuse him with Michael Vick, but he is a much more athletic version of Gunnar Watson right now than I've ever seen, and quite honestly, ever imagined we would see. And then he's leading, not only is he leading himself really well, but he's leading our offense, our team. He's much more vocal, much more confident, because when you put that kind of work in, it usually follows to lead others too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Let's go over to Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, given last year's success and obviously expectations heading into this year, can you just kind of describe the feel and the excitement that you've seen as you go around campus and around town that people have for your upcoming season?
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz around here. I was excited last year too. I'm excited every year. I don't care what year it is. I'm pretty excited about it. There's a lot of positive momentum in our program. And I think that you can feel the energy on campus and around town. The great thing about Troy is it is a college town that cares deeply about its football program. And, on Saturdays in the fall, people in Troy, Alabama, they go to Troy games, what they do. And so you can sense it. I can't really go anywhere. I don't go very many places anyways. I live about 3 miles from the office, and I usually drive to work at like 5 a.m. and I drive home late at night and don't usually see anybody. So, but there is a lot of energy. You can sense that people are fired up about the season, and I think that's a credit to the hard work our young men in our program have put into making this program relevant again.
Thank you. We'll go over to Sam.
Hey, Coach. Is there anything extra special about this Saturday being first game back in the vet after winning the Sun Belt Championship game, obviously on your home field last year? And then what do you kind of expect from the crowd on Saturday?
Yeah, it's always special. We try not to practice in the stadium a ton because I want to make sure that the guys understand that when you go into the arena and you go into the opportunity to play in your stadium, which I believe we have a tremendous home field advantage at the vet, you want that to be sacred to some extent. And so We've practiced in there probably 5 times during training camp. We went in there real early this morning as a team because we've got some weather looming this afternoon that I wanted to try to escape. And so we went there this morning. But anytime we get 6 home games on a regular season schedule. We had a tremendous experience last year playing at home, and we want to keep it that way. And I feel confident we'll have a great fan turnout. Like I said earlier, our home field advantage made a difference in a lot of our games last year. Our student body does a great job, and local community at large, they do a tremendous job of supporting our guys and our team. And there's nothing like the Trojan walk coming to the stadium before the game and getting ready to play what I think is one of the best environments in all the Group of 5.
Sure, man. So happy football season, everybody. I know everybody's been working really hard to get to this point. We're like everybody else. You start this thing in January and you work really hard to get to a point where, you're ready to go kick this thing off. But, there's more work to be done before we get to Saturday. Certainly now you're tightening up game plans and you're trying to make sure you can go out there and, go play a brand of football from week 1 that you can be proud of. And our kids have worked extremely hard to get to this point, to put us in position to feel like, we're ready to go out there and start this season and feel like we have a chance to have a really good year. But the work is the work. And every day you've got to continue to work towards what you want. And, for us, we got to get a little jump start on Northwestern State last week at the end of the week when school started. And, we're excited about getting a game plan for somebody else, certainly excited about kicking off our season at home. That's always a huge deal. And I think when you get to play an in-state opponent, I think it makes it even better. A lot of familiarity between the staffs, between the players, things like that. So for us, it's a great opportunity. We cannot wait for Saturday night, and just really looking forward to seeing what this 2023 season has to offer.
Thank you so much. Again, a reminder to members of the media, if you have a question, please raise your hand in reactions. We'll start off with Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Coach, you alluded to it a little bit in your opening statement, but as college football has gone a little bit away from the regional model, how important is it for you as a Louisiana guy to play an in-state opponent as kind of one of your non-conference games this year?
Well, I've told our administration that's how I'd prefer to do it every year. I just don't see the way that college football is turning a little bit. I just don't see how that's the best case scenario. I think that's what I love about our conference is that we have regionalized more than ever. We've brought back some of these local regional rivalries that fans can get excited about and that they can get behind. And for us, when you have a team from right down the road, no matter who it is, they're going to be excited to come and play here. Our kids are going to be excited to play against them. It's guys that they've grown up playing against. Fans get to follow it. Fans get to actually travel to these games. And to me, it means a lot. And I think it lends to creating a really good environment for a home football game. And I think that's what everybody wants, in the TV world where, attendance is one of the main issues right now, right? Well, you play some games that people get excited about that they want to be a part of that experience for. And, maybe that's something that can help.
Yeah, excited to be back with you guys. Excited about the 2023 season, year 3 for us coming in here and building this program. We feel like, we've done a great job building the culture back in this program and taking steps to improve. With winning 3 in year 1 and winning a bowl game in year 2 and getting to 7. And we've got a really challenging schedule. You guys know that. We've talked about it. But we feel like, we've got a roster now to handle that and manage it. It's going to be a very challenging season. But we're looking forward to it and opening up, with an in-state rival game with Alcorn State, who's, Coach McNair. I got a lot of respect for him. I think he's won 2 conference titles there and several division titles, 4, I think. They've played really good defense over the last few years. We know they're going to be coming here fired up, and it's going to be a great atmosphere. It'll be one of the top Group of 5 crowds in all the country. We expect the Rock to be packed. It should be a whole lot of fun. So with that, I'll open it up.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Heath Hinton. Heath, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you guys brought in a lot of transfers during the offseason. What, other than Billy Wild's quarterback, what is another transfer you're expecting the most out of coming into this season?
Yeah, we didn't bring in as many as we have in the past. We had so many people coming back, but it's always going to be something that we monitor the portal. There's so many Mississippi kids that want to come home. One that comes to mind, Heath, would be Dylan Lawrence at the boundary safety position, George County, Mississippi, coming from Mississippi State. Has had a great spring, great off season, great summer, great fall camp. I think he really brings a lot to the table. Drake Clark at running back, Starkville, Mississippi, is another one. Obviously, you said Billy. Those are two, right off the bat. And then Jalen Sims at linebacker from Colin Community College, and Quez McNeil out of Colin Community College at corner. Those are four, that are going to be either starting or playing significant roles. MJ Daniels as well from George County out of Ole Miss. He's right now battling to start at corner. He's another.
Go over to Hunter Dawkins. Hunter, please go ahead.
Coach, good morning. I think that you would certainly agree with me. This is the most talented roster that you had since you've been coaching at Southern. How is the offensive system? What's it like in the offensive room this year as compared to the last 2 years as you've been the head coach?
Yeah, so it is the most talented team we've had. Now that's we didn't have it's been documented with what we inherited, and then we took a step forward last year, and we feel like we've taken a step forward again this year. Hunter, offensively, we're going to be able to run what we want to run now instead of just having to run what we've got to survive. That's the big thing is, we've this offensive staff's been together for a long time. We've known all each other for a long time. We've pride ourselves in every job we've gotten. It's been because we've been pretty good offensively. We've been able to have to just kind of make it work since we got here, and now we're going to be able to run our system, and we're excited.
We'll go over to Luke Creasy. Luke?
Coach, kind of a non-football related question, but what's the trophy in the background there?
That is the Harlan Hill Trophy. Yeah, from when I played at North Alabama. My wife doesn't let me keep it at home. It's too big, so here it is here.
Thank you, Luke. Let's go over to Garrett Busby. Garrett?
Hey, Coach Hall, just to bounce off of Hunter's question, you talked about your system and being an offensive guy. How excited are you just to be able to fully open that playbook, which you haven't been able to do maybe the last 2 seasons?
I'm really excited. It's been there's times since I've been here where it's been miserable, calling plays because you just you were never sometimes you were calling plays to survive. Sometimes you were calling plays just to make sure we ran the clock and gave our defense and special teams a chance to win the game. And now we can be more aggressive, more attacking, and do what we've always done. So I'm having fun again through spring ball in the summer and this fall camp. It's been a whole lot more fun.
All right, let's go over to Paul with USA Today. Paul?
Hey, well, good afternoon to you. You referenced this real quick in the beginning, just a line, but I'm curious if you might walk me through the biggest hurdles you faced in these 2 years as you started to rebuild this program, and also what you feel like are some things still left unfinished for your building project. What do you have on your table still?
Yeah, the biggest hurdles we faced was we walked into a situation with only 60-something scholarship players, only 90-something on the team. We could only sign 13 because 12 spots had been used for blue shirts the year before. So we were under scholarship. There was no way to get back. At the time, you could only sign 25 a year. And we also walked into a situation where there were 27 kids academically ineligible at the time when we got here. So it was an overhaul in every way, from academics to character to building the roster back. And at that time, you couldn't just get to 85. You could only sign 25 a year, and we could only take 13 because 12 spots had been used in the previous year. So we were just behind the 8 ball. We were like a 3A school playing a 6A schedule. So that was the biggest hurdle we faced, just not having enough people to actually play college football. And, it's been a tough build, but it's been a rewarding build as we look back to it. What are we still missing? This program's about championships. This program's about being the premier Group of 5 program in America. That's what our people expect. That's what we've been at some point in time through the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and even in the 2000s. We won 12 games just 10 years ago. So building it back. You're towing the line always of making sure you're doing it the right way and you're building it to last, building your house on rock, if you will, but also doing it fast enough to where the fan base continues to support and understands that you're headed in the right direction.
All right, thank you, Paul. Garrett, I see your hand. I don't know if you have a follow-up or if you're good.
Yes, I have a follow-up. Coach Hall, I just spoke with Coach McNair of Alcorn State, and you know this as well, but they're going to come down and compete in Hattiesburg. They're looking to win the game. Can you just talk about, having the Braves as a opening or season opening game and how, competitive you think the game's going to be, I guess, and just knowing that they're going to come down and compete and that it's not just going to be some, walkthrough.
Yeah, I mean, we view it as this is no different. Them coming to us as us going to Mississippi State late in the year. It's just one level up. And look, man, I've made it clear. I think they're going to win the SWAC. I've got the utmost respect for Coach McNair and Coach Thomas, their D coordinator. We're longtime friends. They've won the SWAC twice since he's been there. They've won the division 4 times. They've got really good players. And just 2 years ago, they were winning at halftime at South Alabama. South Alabama ended up beating them 28-21. So this is a program that prides itself in winning. They're used to winning, and I think that I think it's great that we're playing them. I think it's great to keep all the money in state. I think it's awesome when Mississippi State plays us and other people, and when we play them, I think it's just great. Me, man, I love this state. I love everything about this state. I think it's awesome when we all play each other and keep playing in the state for the kids and the media of this state.
Sure. Good afternoon. It's finally time to play some football around here. And God, I tell you what, August, when you go out and you practice as much as these football programs and just like everyone else does, it's time to go play some ball. So it's great to have game week finally come up on us. It's great to have a Thursday night contest against a very good Rhode Island football team. We've had a tremendous camp. This is not coach speak. I've been doing this for 27 years. This is the best preseason camp we've ever had. I didn't know. Practice after practice, I couldn't have told you. It was just flowing so smoothly and things were going so well. We had such great energy that it was just one of the best that I've had in my coaching career. We've got a new Georgia State Panther football team for 2023, which is a good thing because, coming off 2022, we need to have some changes, and we certainly have made some changes. We've got a new defensive coordinator in Chad Staggs, so that's going to be a new development to watch on Thursday evening. We've got a lot of new faces on our offensive line and our backfield that you're going to see emerge, and our defensive backfield. A lot of new guys, some transfers, some true freshmen, people that'll make some impacts, a new specialist as well. So, to say I'm not excited sitting here would be foolish. I'm ready to go, and the anticipation for Thursday night is at an all-time high.
Thank you, Coach. We'll go over to Luke Creasy to start.
And Coach, you got to have the game Thursday night. Do you get to sit back and enjoy the first full Saturday of college football, or are you right back to work after that Thursday game?
Nope. I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch college football on Saturday. That's what I do. It's what I've always done. I don't think it's right to bring your team back in on Saturday because you scheduled a Thursday night game. We've been practicing for a long time, so we're gonna go out here and play this Thursday night contest. Hope for the best, and our guys will rest up Friday and Saturday. We'll be back at it on Sunday, ready to go. And our coaches need to be fresh. That's one thing I always try to do. I try to keep our coaching staff and our players fresh. This is a tough business and it's a long business. So anytime I give them the opportunity to go and enjoy something, and when it's the first Saturday of college football, man, everybody's going to be enjoying that. So I'm going to be probably propped up on my deck and have a couple televisions on. Hell, I may even have a cold beer.
All right, let's go over to Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, historically, Georgia State has opened the season during the middle of the week. What do you like about that? What do you like about being the first Sun Belt team to kick it off?
Well, to be honest with you, I think Thursday nights in Atlanta for our football program, we generate a pretty good crowd on Thursday nights. So, I look for us anytime we can play here in Atlanta on Thursday night at our home stadium, Center Park Stadium. It's a benefit for us. Atlanta's a big place. There's a lot of things to do on Saturdays. There's a lot of things to do. But Thursday evenings, we get a pretty good turnout. Our students, they're all on campus right here, and they show up and show out for our Thursday night contests. But to kick it off early when it's the start of the season, I love it. I'll be honest with you, I could have kicked it off 2 weeks ago and would have been just fine with it. I would have not have batted an eye. I said, hey, put the ball down, let's play. As long as they had to do the same thing we were doing.
You talked a lot in the off season about the addition of your new strength coach and the impact that had made. Now that you've been through camp, what have you seen in that area and the difference it's made with your players?
Well, I can tell you one thing: we're the healthiest we've ever been. We went through camp like there's no soft tissue injuries. We didn't have, there wasn't pulls here, pulls there. We were very, very in shape. We were ready to go practice from practice 1 to practice 24, whatever we're on right now. We had a really good mindset. We could push our players to extremes, and they can handle it. So that's exactly what we got out of it, having the new strength conditioning and the mentality that we brought into it from the off season.
All right, we'll go over to Marcel. Marcel from the Sports Inquirer, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, good to see you once again.
Yes,
you mentioned another new coach to the program is Chad as defensive coordinator. How's that been working him into the program and getting the team prepared for this upcoming season?
Yeah, it's just like every other defensive coordinator. When I guess they all call me an offensive guy for whatever reason. So we generate a lot of tempo in practice. We don't do a lot of waiting around for the defense to get set and make their checks and adjustments. He's always over there yelling at me a little bit like, hey, we got to do this. We got to do that. And no, you need to adapt and overcome. So it's been fun, but no, Chad's done a great job coming here, implementing his scheme, and we've really worked well together from an offense and defense and special teams standpoint in developing a better overall football team with Coach Staggs here. That's what's really excited me about it. People probably won't even realize this, but Staggs we're on punt protection team, and Staggs is back there coaching our punters, and about the second day into it, I said, hey, Staggs, what the hell do you know about the punter? He said, I don't know, but I like to stand back here and give them some bits and pieces. And I said, well, don't screw them up. But he's done a nice job. I think our defense has responded well to him. I think the scheme is not going to be a total change, but I think what we do with our scheme will be a total change.
Sure. Well, first of all, it's good to see everyone, and obviously a very exciting time of year. Getting football season started. I think it usually takes 3 to 4 games to really kind of define your identity, and it's constantly evolving as the season goes. But when you look at first games, it's always the games of the unknowns. So many things that you don't know about your opponent, with now obviously the transfer portal and newcomers coming in, changes in scheme, but also, from our team in terms of leadership, how do we respond to adversity? How do we respond to going into, a great environment for college football and playing, all those things that go into playing winning football. But obviously very excited to get going, to go on the road and play a football program on national television, first game out of College Game Day, and playing the University of Oklahoma. It's going to be a great challenge for us. Really good football team, top 25 football team, top 25 football program. So again, a great challenge, but also a great opportunity for us as well.
Thank you, Coach. Let's go over to Luke Madison. Luke, please go ahead.
Hey, Butch. Obviously, I know year 3, you're expecting a lot this year. Where do you feel your team is right now compared to this time last year? And what are your overall thoughts on how fall camp went for you?
Yeah, like we've spoke about numerous times, this is our 4th program taking over, and, every dynamic has been different within those 4 different football programs, and where you're at and where, the culture was and all that. I've kind of alluded to really year 1 was really year 0. When you think about it, all we did was field a team and try to compete. I thought we took monumental strides in terms of our culture last year, and really we're treating this like year 2. The culture is night and day different, but it's still, we only have 11 seniors on our roster. We're going to have to play an inordinate amount of true freshmen, but I like where we're at in terms of our growth and our development as a football program, a football team. our players have done a really, really good job throughout the course of training camp. They understand the expectations, the culture. I think our connection and our connectivity as a football team is completely different as well. And we have players that love football and they love being here and they want to be coached and they want to do well. So it's our job to continue to teach them and coach them. But, I think being able to stack 2 back-to-back recruiting classes that are very talented, they're still very young, especially in the lines of scrimmage. But again, I like where we're at. We'll know a little bit more. I mean, when you play a quality opponent like Oklahoma, everything that you do can be exposed. What I mean is fundamentals, details, simple things of your hand placement, the violence and mentality that you play with, your style of play, the discipline to execute play in and play out, the ability to handle the clutter and distractions of the crowd noise and all those things that go into being a mature football team and being able to go on the road and perform and play winning football. All that goes into it. So I'll know a little bit more where we're at as the season progresses. But I've said it from day one. I like our team. I like our players. I like their demeanor. I like their mental disposition. I like all that. But we're going to find out in a hurry just how much progress we've made and what type of progress we need in moving forward.
We'll go over to Jeremy Harper.
Hey, Butch. We talked about the offensive line a lot, how much progress it's made from spring to now. What's another position group that you think is going to have a big leap forward?
Well, I think, probably our most competitive position on offense is a running back position. The progress that Jaquez Cross has made in 1 year in our football program is really impressive. He's added the weight that he's needed to. He's really turned into a running back that's been extremely durable ever since spring, and he's been very reliable. He'll be our kickoff returner as well. So he's really, really worked really hard. He has great competitive character. So I think, that's the progress we're making in our program. When you add the running back of Wallace from UT Martin. I think Zach has done a really good job of coming in here. He's extremely competitive. He gives another different dynamic to the room with his size and his stature and his competitiveness. So I think just the evolution of Zach Wallace, Jaquez Cross, and then Brian Sneed's had a very good offseason as well. So I think when you look at those individuals and the progress that they've made, I feel really good about the running back room.
Go over to Chris Hutchinson. Chris, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you 2 things about the status health-wise of the team and the quarterback competition. Is it still ongoing? Have you kind of figured out in terms of naming a starter for this week?
Well, I was kind of waiting for that question. In terms of naming a starting quarterback, we're going to take one more day. We're going through everything. We want to make sure we make the right decision in moving forward. So we'll make that determination tomorrow. We'll announce that in the press conference. But, like I said, not only do we need to name a starting quarterback, but really we need all 3 individuals to continue to grow and develop and play winning football for us. And as we know, you need more than just one quarterback, and really been encouraged by all 3 individuals, how much they've grown throughout the course of training camp. So been excited about that. In terms of our health, we're fairly healthy right now. Obviously, you have some nicks and bruises that are associated through a long training camp. But right now, we expect everybody to be available for Oklahoma.
Excited to finally be here to week 1. Looking forward to a great challenge with Virginia Tech. Getting to play in an unbelievable environment like Lane Stadium is going to be an opportunity for our team and our young men and our coaching staff. And this is why you play college football. So looking forward to it and can't wait.
All right, we'll start off with Damien with the Roanoke Times. Damien, please go ahead.
Hey, Ricky, I wanted to get into your decision to name Grant Wilson the starting quarterback. I know a lot of people make a big deal about only 13 pass attempts, but he's entering his 4th year in this particular offensive system. How much is that going to help him having that familiarity? And then, when the Butterflies finally settle Saturday night, that you want to see him get into a rhythm.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, for every player on our team, we wish they had more experience. I mean, even guys like, Jon Jason Henderson, who's made a bunch of plays for us and all those sort of things. You want every guy on our team to have more experience because, that those are opportunities and reps that you can't duplicate. But we're excited for what Grant has shown during camp. He's shown a great poise and command of the offense. And so I think he's going to go out there and play very, very well. Obviously, for every single one of us, you got to make your first start at some point, right? And so, he gets the special memory of being able to do it in one of college football's great environments. And that's something that he's always going to be able to cherish.
I wanted to ask a second question. You have Justin Harper entering his second year on your staff. What's he meant to you, to the program through what he's able to do, not only coaching, but recruiting? And have you had a chance to talk to him about him coming back to Virginia Tech? I think first time coaching since he played there.
Yeah, we haven't much talked about that. But Justin means a lot to our program. Not only is he a tremendous football coach and very knowledgeable about the game, but great recruiter, and but he's a relationship person, and he builds relationships with guys not only in his room but throughout our entire team, and he becomes a great sounding board for guys on our team, and so he's somebody who's very valuable to our program. His energy and is kind of unmatched, but it's something that very glad to have him. Very happy that I was, lucky or smart enough or whatever it was to make that hire. And I think it's going to be a special time for him to get back there. But I know that that'll last for about, I don't know, maybe a play or two, and then it's time to coach.
Let's go over to Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Coach Rahne, you guys kind of kicked off the Sun Belt victors over the A5 last year with the win over Virginia Tech in week 1, before 3 in week 2 for the league. What did that win mean for your program as you're trying to build, a program in the state of Virginia? And then what obviously would you think it would take to do something like that again in week 1 this year?
All wins are big wins, but we're blessed that the A5 programs in our state play us. And play us on a regular basis. So to be able to pick up a win there was huge for our program and our conference. I say all the time, I think we have the best group of 5 conference in the country, and I stand by that. And I think our record against A5 opponents and record in bowl games proves that. So to be able to add to that in our first year in the league was special, and hopefully we can continue that throughout this season.
Let's go over to Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, you've talked about having depth this year that you haven't had in the past. How did that help you as you went through fall camp and preparing for this first game?
I think where it helped is that, whether guys were with the 1s or the 2s, as you rotated through, they were still able to get a great look and great competition, and we were able to get a great evaluation of their skills. Whereas maybe times in the past, as you started to get down, maybe it wasn't as comparable as we needed it to be for what would happen in the game. So I think that's been a big thing, is we've been able to evaluate guys, particularly new additions to our team. We didn't have to just put them on the top of the depth chart to see what we had in them. We could let them earn their spot there. And I think that, that helps team morale, but it also just helps the overall culture of competing that we're trying to build.
Let's go back over to Damian. Damian, please go ahead.
Yeah, Ricky, you might have the easiest scouting report this week on Tech's top wide receiver edition, and Ali Jennings. One, what did he mean to your program over the last couple of years, and what type of challenges is he going to present on the outside?
Well, number one, I think Coach Mines did an unbelievable job of solidifying that wide receiver position in general. We know what type of talent and what type of great player that Ali is, but they added 2 other great ones as well. So I think that's going to be a great challenge for us, is containing those transfer wide receivers. Ali came here to get a second opportunity from his first school. He took advantage of it. And obviously we're incredibly thankful for some of the plays he made during the 2 years that he was here. I think our guys are excited to play not only against him, but that entire the entire kind of revamped skill position group that Virginia Tech has. And so, it's going to be a great challenge for us, but I think it's something that our guys are ready for.
advantage going into the contest, or how do you manage that as a staff?
I think it's still about us. They obviously had their schedule, week 0 game, which gave them a little bit more time in camp. So they were in the same spot basically. Them having a competition kind of gives them a little bit of an edge because they know what they have, meaning they know what their guys are going to do in a game situation. A lot of our guys are brand new, so we think we know, but we really won't know. Ultimately, it's going to come down to how well we prepare this week, how hard we play on Saturday, and do we execute consistently? And that's kind of be our motto all year. That's what we've been since we've been here. I think the new guys are buying into that. The older guys understand that. So it's helped us prepare with a little bit more consistency week to week.
I know that camp, it's always a grind. What did you like the most about camp from your team this year?
I thought the consistency of the way they showed up every day, their focus, their energy, those are the two things you really control. Are you focused on the task at hand, whether that's a meeting, a weightlifting, a speaker at night or practice? And then what's your intensity? Are you just here or are you here to actually make a difference? And I thought every day they showed up with the right focus and intensity. When you show up with those two things consistently, then you're able to improve. And I think that's what we were able to do. We were able to improve. We stayed healthy. That's a big piece moving into the season. And now we got to put it all together. I told them, winners and losers start with the same goal. No one shows up at the game saying, well, hey, we're going to lose. What's going to be the deciding factor is your focus, your energy, how well you prepare, how hard we play, and do we consistently execute? And I think they're starting to understand what that looks like now.
When you look at the offense, quarterback Cam Fancher took over in the middle of the year last year, and now he comes into the season as the starter. What have you seen from Cam, and what growth has been the biggest eye-opener for you out of him?
Yeah, I think leadership, I think just understanding the game and the system better. It's one of those positions that you got to get out there and play it. I mean, you can, say where it goes on film, you can say where it goes on the board, but you got to get out there and play it. And Cam has been out there and he's played it. And I think he's a lot more comfortable now. He's a lot more vocal. He's still not he doesn't talk as much as Eli, but he's still, he speaks up a little bit more. He says what he needs to say when he needs to say it. And I think he's got a little bit more confidence in himself, which allows him to be the true athlete and quarterback that we need him to be. Athleticism is a part of his game, but he also has a very good arm. He also has a very good mind, decision-making. And what he's going to have to do is use all of those skills in order for us to go where we want to go. That's going to help the people around him play a lot more consistent as well.
You look at the offensive line, a lot of guys back, a lot of veteran pieces in there, and you've got Rasheen Ali healthy in the backfield. A lot of excitement with this offense looking for 2023, right?
Yeah, I think, again, the optimism is high, but we're going to have to go out and execute. Albany's not going to be a team that just says, hey, because you got Ali back and you got a good O-line, we're just going to show up. We've got to take what we've had these last couple of weeks in camp, which is the consistency in our approach, and then we got to go out and execute. And I think having some of those veterans back, having Rasheen Ali who's played back, having a Cam who's played back, having some of our wide receivers who have played back will help us go in with the right mindset, not just the excitement of, oh, well, we got all these pieces back. No, we got to go out and execute. And I think having that leadership or those older guys will help us go into the game with the right mindset.
Defensively, one of the top units in the country last season. You come in, a new defensive coordinator, but a lot of veteran pieces. How has that merged over the last few months, and what do you see out of your defense?
Yeah, I think it's been great, but obviously we got to get to the game, right? It's easy when you're in practice and things are scripted or you're in a scrimmage and you kind of know. I think our defense prepares a lot better and plays a lot better when they have a week to prepare. And I think we've had that. I think, again, Coach Seymour has done a phenomenal job of stealing pieces of what we did last year and complementing that with what he's done or had success with in his past. Having players like Owen and Eli and Micah and those type of guys on the team helps the consistency and approach every day. We talk about standards. They have a standard that they play to on defense, and they have a standard that they practice to. And if you're not practicing or preparing or playing at that level, they let you know before the coaches do, which to me allows the coaches to focus on fundamentals and techniques. We've had a lot of consistency. Those guys have fought every day for our identity, have kept the standard. Now we got to go out and execute. That's really what it's going to come down to.
When you look, you mentioned Huntington, and this area sort of marries itself to Marshall football. What is the most special thing about game days in Huntington, and what do you expect on Saturday with so much excitement coming into this season?
Yeah, I just think it's the passion and energy of the fans, the traditions here, from the Thunder Walk to the tailgating in the West Lot, to the families that are going to come back for, multiple years and their season tickets are in the same spot and they're sitting next to a family they really haven't seen for a while. The tailgates from people, tailgating together. In a small town like we have here, the close-knitness is part of what makes us special. And Saturday really gets a chance to bring us all in. And I think this Saturday, with all the Saturdays, filling the Joan, new scoreboard, new turf, I think all of those things just bring together the community feel even more. And I can't wait to see those guys when we run out of the tunnel.
When you look at this team, they ended 2022 on a 5-game winning streak, one of only 5 Division I teams to do so. How do you play that? Is that momentum going into this season, or does it not mean anything, or is it sort of a little bit between both of them?
Yeah, I don't think it means much. I mean, that team is gone. I'd love to have some of those players back. Again, I think last year is last year. And I think, when you start to look back and compare, you really don't give this team a chance to create their own identity, because you're always comparing it to the past or you're comparing it to last year. Last year and the past are important. We learned from it. But we got to let this team's identity be this team's identity. Maybe this team doesn't allow a point all year, and we're comparing them to a team that gave up, 19 points or whatever it may be. Or maybe this team is awful and we give up 50 points a year. You know what I mean? But again, I think you got to give this team a chance to be this team. I think you can learn from some of the past. Obviously, some of those players are back. But we started talking about it the first day of camp. This team's identity is this team's identity. And what we were able to create, from this season is going to be owned by this team. So hopefully we create the positive, and not be compared to, what was here in the past. But let this team's identity be this team's identity. Let this team's goal be this team's goals. And then from there, obviously, we have standards. Those standards should carry over year to year. But what this team is going to be, we're going to find out Saturday when we run out of that tunnel.
I will. Sam and Travis, I know you guys are very excited to see me with a backdrop behind this season. So schedule allows for us to look pretty nice and official back here, which is great. I am thrilled to be in game week preparation for a home opener against Tulane on September 2nd, this Saturday. Really, in my opinion, one of the best group of 5 matchups in all of college football this year. It just happens to be in week 1. So impressed as I watch film and in the offseason, and certainly as we get into game plan mode about Tulane's program and Willie Fritz. I've known Willie for a long time. We both serve on the AFCA Board of Trustees. He represents the American Conference and I represent the Sun Belt. And so I've gotten to know him over the years and always enjoy my time with him. Very much when you turn on the tape, a Willie Fritz coached football team. Very disciplined, very detailed, and do a tremendous job in terms of just the details that it takes and consistency in terms of what they operated this past year. Very pleased with the position of our football team. We have had a great fall camp. I think a lot of that speaks to some of the continuity that we have built from the 22 season. We have 20 of 22 starters returning to our team, as well as our coordinators and Major Applewhite, Corey Batoon, and the vast nucleus of our staff that are back. And so we've really challenged our team to crank the dial up in their respective areas. I use the analogy with the guys of you get in a sauna, and when you first walk in there, it's really, really hot, right? And then all of a sudden, as you acclimate, you're able to crank that dial just a little bit more. And I think that's what our team is capable of doing as we go into this season with the continuity that we have. And so there comes a point, right, where you prepare and prepare and prepare, and then eventually you get a chance to see where you are and what you can accomplish. And so very excited to do that in New Orleans Saturday night at 7 p.m.
And Coach, let's go over to Hunter Dawkins. Hunter, please go ahead.
Coach, good afternoon.
Hey, Hunter.
As I've noticed, and I did mean to ask you this question during media days, but I'm guessing that there might be a different answer now. due to your non-conference schedule, which is pretty tough with Tulane and Oklahoma State on the road, do your key personnel, the amount of guys you have coming back at least, did that influence your decision on the schedule, playing these tougher opponents?
I obviously, from a scheduling perspective, I don't really have any influence on that. I think when I first got here, we started making decisions on the 2031 football season, which obviously, those are things that it just so happens, right, that you get a matchup here against Tulane, two great group of 5 teams that I think both programs are moving in the right direction, and to be able to have a matchup. Here's what I will say about our schedule. It is a very challenging one, particularly on the front half of the season as we go into non-conference and then right into conference play against a team in James Madison in week 5. Great programs need great opportunities. And for us to take the steps forward, we need opportunities like a game against Tulane on national television, like an opponent in Oklahoma State in a few weeks, and great Sun Belt matchups as we're certainly going to see this year. I think that is what competitors want, right? They want great matchups. They want great competition and opportunities to establish yourself not only as a relevant football program, but as a team that can compete at the highest level of FBS football.
Go over to Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Kane, you mentioned in the opening statement, and obviously we talked a lot about the amount of starters back, the amount of all-conference guys back for South Alabama. How has that helped you guys in fall camp with maybe some of the newer guys that have come in to have such a veteran experience around them? And maybe who's 1 or 2 guys that have stood out about within that group that you're thinking are going to see the field and have an impact, whether it's in week 1 or throughout this season?
I think coaches sometimes shy away maybe from preseason accolades, right? Because we were taught from the beginning, right, and of you always praise the collective unit, and right, and not the individual. And yet at the same time, for us, I'm proud of the individual accomplishments of our guys. I'm proud of the accolades to be recognized by your peers, members of the media, coaching staffs, particularly in the Sun Belt. I think that speaks to what some of these young men have accomplished individually to a degree, but also collectively as a football program. And we all share in that. It's easy, right? You can point to guys like Carter Bradley and LaDamian Webb and Devin Voisin and Colin Lacey. They have, more accolades than I can count right now. On the defensive side of the ball, obviously Yam Banks and Bubba Thomas and Jamie Sheriff and Trey Kaiser, all those guys, right? But probably when you look at some of the units that I'm excited about, I think our offensive line has taken huge steps forward in 3 years to now we're in position to where when we walk on the field, I think we match up really well in terms of both protection and being able to run the ball effectively and efficiently. And then on the defensive side, you have really 11 starters coming back because 2 guys, Keith Gallman and Quentin Wilfon, were out last season, and yet you lost Darrell Luter, a 5th-round draft pick to the San Francisco 49ers. And so, I think all of us had that as a question mark going into the season, and yet very impressed with that unit. I think that's a group, Cuddy Robinson, Ricky Fletcher, Reggie Neely, Dallas Gamble. I think we've got 5 guys that can execute with a lot more consistency than what we saw a year ago. And I think a big credit in that goes to Jay Hobson, our new corners coach, who obviously has a tremendous background as the head coach at Southern Miss and Alcorn State, and years as a defensive coordinator all over college football. But he's done a tremendous job of just building fundamentals within those guys that I'm very pleased with their level of execution thus far.
We got time for one more from Hunter.
Hey, Coach, one last question. Since you kind of talked about the most improved, one of the most improved areas you had seen, offensive line, is that going to make – I know you've got a great quarterback with Carter Bradley coming back. How much more of a balance is that going to put together? Is it more of going to be a passing, team or running? I know you can't really tell me right now on all that, but what are you looking forward to with that?
Well, to start off, obviously the first play of the game, we're going to get and run inside zone to a double wing, and then we're going to go a play action game off of that on the second play. So, I'm obviously joking. I think we are going to be a balanced attack. That you look at our offense, our system, we're going to get in 12 personnel. We're going to get in 11 personnel. We're going to spread you out of those different personnel groupings. And when we say 12 and 11, we have multiple ways that we can get in 11 personnel with the type of athletes that we have. We want, these guys to do these things and this grouping of guys to do a different skill set. Our offensive line, right, allows us to do so much, not only in the run game, but in the passing game. And I would say that along with the running back room has probably been the biggest area of improvement and talent and depth in our program. And I think some of the success that you see, not only offensively with our team, is in large part to the growth of our running back room and our offensive line. We're going to run the football. But when you have a guy like Carter Bradley back there, you've got, and those receivers on the outside, not only receivers, but tight ends, we've got to find creative ways to get those guys the ball in the passing game. And so that's a really fun thing for myself and the rest of our offensive staff with Major Applewhite and figuring out how do we get the ball to different playmakers, both in the run and pass game.